Welcome to the milk bar. 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 Welcome to the milk bar.
Welcome along to episode 633 of the Milk Bar. Jason Forrest here with you as ever. And before I tell you what's coming up on the show, I've got to say thank you to Nick and the gang from Week 13 for my Week 13 mug. That is a better quality drinking beverage holder, and I shall be enjoying that in the not too distant future. Meanwhile, I shall re-pick up my Milk Bar mug for this week's show. I've obviously been me tea. Right, what's going on? We'll be having a chat with DJ and Dr. Bodalia, all about the importance of the 18 through 24-year-olds getting their vaccines, particularly ahead of it being a requirement to go out clubbing in the month of September. We'll be finding out what's going on with PJ Taylor and Kyle Finn. They got some fantastic music for us. Dean Friedman joining us for a chat from the US, all about his latest album release, which comes out on the 27th of August. Also talking to Adam Millichip, all about the TWS Sports Podcast, end of season 1, thinking towards season 2 sort of scenario. That's coming up. Plus, as well as all that, we'll be hearing about Rent. It's been put on by the Creations Theatre Company, and they are producing a brilliant show coming up in September into October over at the Dove House Theatre in Solihull. Finding out from two of the cast all about that. That's on the show this week. Dean Friedman's latest album, American Lullaby, is released in the latter part of August. He joins me now to tell me more about the album and anything else that happens to be happening to him. Hello, sir.
Hey, Jason. Good evening or good morning, as the case may be.
Yes, well, we're talking at a peculiar time of day. You're in the US at the moment. Obviously, the current situation has somewhat curbed your usual UK touring.
Indeed. It was traumatic having to reschedule a 40-city tour. And since that time, I've actually rescheduled it more than once. But I am determined to hit the road, and unless some giant meteor smashes into the face of the moon, which precluding air travel, I am intent on grabbing my guitar, getting on a plane, and hitting the road next year, 2022. Starting in April, I'll be touring all over the UK.
That isn't stopping you performing at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival this year, as you've got some virtual dates coming up over the next week or so.
Indeed. Now, this would have been my 18th appearance at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, my favorite place to be in August, not just because the weather's much nicer in Scotland than here in New York in the sweltering summer, but also because you're surrounded by, all this energy and creative talent and people taking creative chances. It's really inspiring. And so even though I'm not going to be there live on the ground, I'm going to be there virtually. And so for 2 weekends, for a total of 6 nights, August 13, 14, 15, and then again August 20, 21, 22 at 8 p.m. I'm going to be performing my premiere of my brand new album, American Lullaby. Mm-hmm. I'll be performing all the songs live, as well as, a whole bunch of familiar radio hits as well. And I'll be performing it here in a Zoom concert from right here in my home studio here in Peekskill, New York, where you're seeing me wave right now.
But I mean, it is an unusual experience doing something like that, because you're going to be doing an evening gig at lunchtime. If we want to head up to, obviously we have to go to Edinburgh to see a Zoom concert, which is intriguing. It's from Wolverhampton's only a quick one on the train. So it is possible, because I know you have a host of fans here and you've played our city numerous times, and I know we won't be too far off seeing you again. But that must be strange in itself.
Well, let me just clarify there. You don't have to go to Edinburgh to see the Zoom concert. You can sit in your own living room or bedroom, or look at your smartphone or laptop or any device, and you can just log into the Zoom link if you purchased a ticket, and see it from the comfort of your own home.
So that is all good then. We can join in properly. We can in fact do it every time you play.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, when I first started, when the tour, my actual UK tour had to be canceled because of the pandemic, I was a little skeptical about doing Zoom concerts, but after having done them for now over a year, I have really grown to appreciate them, because the thing is, Jason, there's this weird kind of intimacy in a Zoom event. Because, so for example, at a live gig, I can see usually the first 2 rows of people's faces and their reactions to my singing. But in a Zoom concert, I can see everybody in the audience, not just the first few rows. And what's more, they can see themselves, which is kind of remarkable. If you think about a live gig, you usually sitting in the audience, you see the back of people's heads in front of you. That's about it. And in a Zoom concert, by comparison, you see everybody in the audience, and I can see right into their homes. They're sitting in their sofa like I'm looking at you now. You can see their pets hopping up and down on their laps. You can see their families wandering in and out. You can see what they're snacking on or what they're drinking and sipping. So there, as I say, there's this weird intimacy, and it actually fosters a kind of real sense of community. And as I've been doing these Zoom concerts the last Sunday of every month, I have really grown to appreciate them, as have the audience. So I'm inviting your listeners to join my Zoom concert at the Edinburgh during the Edinburgh Fringe. It's not actually going to be in Scotland. I'm going to be broadcasting from right here in my home studio, the Honkin' Goose Studios here in Peekskill, New York. But the audience will be right there in the Zoom gallery, and it'll be interactive, and you'll be able to make noise and boo or clap.
However you see fit at that point.
Exactly. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. And tickets are available through my website, deanfriedman.com, or through the Edinburgh Fringe website, which is edfringe.com.
Okay, so we can join in with the Fringe, which is jolly good fun to do. But with the album itself, I mean, you've been doing this for a little while, and you're renowned for the fun that you have. How many decades are we classing this as now? Are we not saying 6, surely, are we?
Well, I don't think it's 6, maybe coming up on 5. How's that?
I mean, with the press that's running around this one as well, it's interesting because, I mean, American Lullaby, the title track from the album, that is poignant, meaningful, and a song which tells a tale of a nation, and it's not all good. And it also sits alongside something like the song which is celebrating birthdays.
Well, you know what? The whole album, American Lullaby, is my personal take, my reaction to all the very crazy, insane things that have happened here in America and consequently around the world over the last 6 years. Ever since all my countrymen and women woke up to a very disturbed reality TV show host, consummate con artist and money launderer.
I think who you mean.
Was the president, became the president of the United States. And it just blew everybody's minds. Even his supporters were shocked. And him most of all. I'm convinced he never believed he was actually going to win. And lo and behold, he did. And it really shattered everyone's security, their sense of security and confidence that people in charge knew what they were doing. And I think it frightened the world that something like that could happen, that someone with those kinds of authoritarian fascist leanings was actually in charge of the biggest world power for the moment. And it also caused a lot of foreboding because people that knew him in New York and knew of his lack of character and his very vindictive bullying nature were afraid for what was inevitably going to happen. And so when hundreds of thousands of people died unnecessarily because of his incompetent handling of the pandemic and his refusal to even acknowledge it or suggest that we imbibe bleach, it was not a surprise. It was a tragic consequence, but it was not a surprise. And that's just one of many issues that we've been grappling with all at the same time. Not just the pandemic, but the climate crisis, which, for years we talked about as being pending or looming. It's no longer pending. It's no longer looming. The climate change is upon us, and the West Coast is on fire, and Europe is flooding. All these things are happening at once, and they're happening at a rapid pace. So I was having trouble wrapping my head around it. And so this album was my really emotional response to this bewilderment and this confusion, and an effort to try and understand for myself what it was all about, what was happening. And hopefully, people can either relate to it or get some comfort or solace from it, or at least be distracted for a period of time from the reality that is staring us in the face. It's not all doom and gloom, even though I'm dealing with difficult subjects. I make sure to, as is my habit, to leaven it with a very healthy amount of humor and an ample dose of silliness.
Yeah, too much stuff, I think, embodies that. It takes on the serious side that we all have too much stuff these days, which is impacting the environment in exactly the same way as climate change, because it creates climate change. But we genuinely do have too much stuff.
Well, it is definitely a commentary on our obsessive consumerism. And also sometimes an innate characteristic of folks I know, including myself. In fact, all I have to do is look at the studio wall behind me and to conclude that I genuinely do have too much stuff, and yet I sing about it with some empathy for the folks that are have succumbed to it, because it is in part human nature to observe and categorize and collect, and sometimes we get a little carried away, but you do the best you can.
And doing the things like discussing mask usage and the other side of that, it's your work's. I mean, I'm not going to say political, but it is something which is a reflection of, hopefully, a freer, more sensibly thinking side of a lot of society these days.
Well, you know what? It's definitely not an album filled with love songs, although there are a few songs on it that are, to my mind, love songs that try and offer solace and comfort to a friend or a loved one. As I said from the beginning, it was my attempt to chronicle all the very complicated things that the world is facing right now, that are happening at such a fast pace and with so little clarity that our heads are spinning. And I tried to make sense of it for myself, or at least to express it, because if you don't acknowledge the crazy things that are happening, then you're going to be woefully unprepared to deal with what's coming in the future. And so, I also try to keep it optimistic, because I'm optimistic at heart. That's my nature. Mm-hmm. But there's some real serious issues that we have to deal with. And I try to touch on all of them, or as many of them as I can fit into 12 tracks on the album. But again, I try to balance it with humor. And the reason I conceived of the album as an American lullaby is because if you think about it, there's a curious thing that is common to lullabies in every culture on Earth, in every corner of the globe. Parents will sing their babies to sleep with lullabies that are filled with these dire, terrible warnings about awful things that can happen to children. I mean, think about Rockabye Baby on the treetop. Mm-hmm. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. Here's this lullaby putting a little kid to sleep, and they're falling out of the tree, and the cradle is landing on their heads. How are you supposed to put a kid to sleep that way? But what I take it to mean is that these lullabies are an effort by one generation to educate and to warn and prepare the next generation for the reality of the difficult things that they will face as they grow up and face the world. But they don't want to scare the hell out of the little baby. So they couch those messages and those lessons in a soothing and comforting vessel, a lullaby, so that they learn as they're drifting off to sleep.
Yeah, and sugar coating and education on life.
There you go. A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. So that's my take on it. And that's really how I've tried to structure and balance this whole album. It's meant to be listened to from beginning to end. And I try to also leave on a hopeful, optimistic note, because as I said, that is my nature. And I do believe that we have the capacity and the tools and the skill set to address these problems that we're facing, that our governments are not doing a great job of mitigating. We'll either fix it or we're going to be fighting for seats on Elon Musk's space shuttle to Mars. But I'm more hopeful that we'll do better than we've been doing. And the last track on the album expresses that in a way. It's called On a Summer's Night. And even in the midst of all the doom and gloom and the difficult subjects that are dealt with in the album, I do think it's incumbent upon us to always be aware of the blessings that we do have, the good things that are on this world that we inhabit, and the good people in our lives. So I try to make note of that, is that even in the midst of all these difficult times, at this moment, on this summer's night, the world seems calm, and the world seems right.
The album itself, I've been looking to dip into it as a preview copy, and yes, it is fun, but the sound of it, I mean, the recording, it's just such a rich sound to it too. I mean, how have you could put that together? Is it just you on there, or have you got a team who are sat in a cupboard wearing masks just down the hallway?
Well, I'd say 95% of it was recorded right here in this studio on this microphone with this Dell all-in-one PC. With this guitar and that keyboard and this harmonica. But I did have the able assistance of a handful of really fine, talented musicians who recorded parts for the album remotely and then sent them here through the internet, and I assembled the parts and mixed them down, and the album resulted. So, for example, there's a tune called "I Wish You Joy," and the background vocals were contributed from the UK and Belfast, England, Belfast, Los Angeles, and there were cello parts that were contributed by Kevin Fox up in Canada, a beautiful flugelhorn part by Marvin Stamm here in Westchester. So folks like Katie Rose Bennett and Charlotte Campbell and Zolene Mayberry, and I hope I'm not leaving people out. And of course, my daughter Hannah contributed to all this. And my son Sam Friedman, who's a really talented keyboard player and harmonica player, plays a lot of the keyboard and harmonica that's on the new album. So if it sounds richly produced, I have to give credit to all those fine, talented musicians who recorded their parts and sent them in and allowed me to make the album sound bigger than it actually was, and for that I'm grateful.
Well, it is sounding awesome. The 27th of August is the release date for the single and the album. The video, as we sit here now, is on the verge of being released into the wild. We will be able to pick that up online. All of this, I'm guessing, like the tickets for the Edinburgh gig and everything else, through the website itself? Absolutely.
You can get tickets to the Edinburgh Fringe virtual Zoom concert which you can watch from anywhere, even out for a walk, walking the dog on your device or smartphone. So you can get tickets to the Zoom concert, which again is August 13, 14, 15, and 2021 and 22, 8 p.m. UK time. You can get those tickets on my website or the edfringe.com website. And you can also pre-order copies of the brand new album, American Lullaby, on my website. And you can even get tickets to next year's live gigs right now in the gig section of my website. So I invite your listeners to just visit deanfriedman.com or send me an email, and you'll get on the email list and be able to keep in touch. Actually, tomorrow is when I'm going to premiere the brand new video for the title track, American Lullaby. And I'm looking forward to it and people's reactions to it. So far, the reactions have been that it's a powerful piece of work, which is really gratifying.
Well, you're playing Shrewsbury and Birmingham on the tour next year, so those are our closest gigs. Your Legion of fans can head over that way from around by us, and it's going to be, as I assume, great fun. As you already talked about, whenever you're playing these gigs, there's a mixture of music from a number of decades, and we know that. I mean, your career is huge in the US, but massive in the UK, and I think the UK is taking you to heart even more than your home nation, hasn't it?
Well, I'm grateful for that, even though it's a schlep. It's worth it to be able to get up on stage and share my songs with what's always been a very appreciative audience. And when you're writing songs, you want folks to hear them and enjoy them. And so that's something I am always grateful for. And as long as I'm able to do my virtual concerts from home or get on a plane and do live gigs, I plan on doing just that, sharing these songs and keep doing what I do.
Well, it's an awesome album, well worth a listen. Make sure you get your copy pre-ordered, which you can either have physically or virtually. And of course, the virtual gigs to come over the next few weeks, and then the real thing in the not too distant future. Do both. It'll be great. Dean Friedman, thank you for joining us.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me, Jason. All the best, and all the best to your listeners. Don't you fret now, don't you cry. It's an American lullaby. Manifest destiny's a lie. It's an American lullaby. Half moon sailing through the night. Crack of a musket fired first light. Always keep your powder dry. It's an American lullaby. Rest your head and dreams you'll fly. It's an American lullaby. Blaze a trail across the sky. It's an American lullaby. Drinking gourd will point the way. Stealth by night and sleep by day. Beg like Joe, you can rely.
It's an American lullaby. Unclench your fist and dry your eye. It's an American lullaby. Judgment served from up on high. It's an American lullaby. One fine night in paradise, God of thunder rolls the dice. 1,000 rounds light up the sky. It's an American lullaby. And restless dreams we shall defy. But TV pundits prophesy. Best laid plans have gone awry. It's an American lullaby. He said, I cannot tell a lie. Cross my heart and hope to die. Still won't look you in the eye. It's an American lullaby. Close your eyes now, sleep is nigh. It's an American lullaby. Cross the shallows, do or die. It's an American lullaby. Headlights shining in the dark. Coyotes howl, the bloodhounds bark. You can hear the angels sigh. It's an American lullaby. Human kindness in short supply. It's an American lullaby.
At the Dove House Theatre in Solihull from the 23rd of September through to the 2nd of October, the Creators Theatre Company are bringing Rent to the stage. Two of the stars are Mike Bentley and Matthew James, and they join me now to tell me more about the show. Hello to you both.
How's it going?
Good. Hello, how are you, Jason?
I'm good, all good here. Right, let's start off by finding out whom you play and a bit of the background on the characters, because here's disclosure, I've not seen Rent in its 25 years. I must do, and I think we have the right cast now for me to go and see it, which is my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So, Mike, tell us a bit about Benny to begin with.
Benny is an amazing character. He's sort of one of the characters that is a catalyst in the show. He used to live with Mark, Roger and Maureen, and he moves out. He's married a girl called Alison, which is named something else in the show that I'll let you discover as we go through. And there's a backlog of rent that Roger and Mark have not paid, and that leaves Benny to come round and give them the really bad news that actually he needs all the rent paying back. and there is going to be a major development in their flat, and that starts the piece really, and really where sort of Rent starts from. But it's based on Puccini's opera La Bohème, and it really does follow the ups and downs of a year in the life of a group of very impoverished, very artistic friends living in Manhattan's East Village. Mark, who's played by Matt, plays a really aspiring filmmaker struggling to find his place in the world. And his roommate, Roger, that we were all friends together, is a musician, a really struggling musician. He's HIV positive, and he's wondering how he's going to leave his mark on the world, being diagnosed with HIV. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of like the start of our relationship, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because I mean, HIV itself, at the time this was written, was more deadly than now. With the right medication, it's now a condition rather than a death sentence. And so the story itself would have evolved. If you were telling the same tale now, it would be very different. So I think this is, it's great to get like a snapshot in time. And Matt, when it comes to Mark's role, how do you see it's him fitting in with all of this and a lot of the stigmatism and stereotypes that were around at that point in time?
Well, I think Mark's quite an inevitable kind of character, really, because he's the one that outlives everybody. So he's the one that knows that, and that has that knowledge of, doesn't matter whether it's going to be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. At one point or another, he's going to watch all of his friends leave him, before he even reaches like an old age or a retirement age. So it's I think it's quite a poignant sort of character to play, to make sure that there's always going to be people that are alone, that have nobody, or I don't know, that watch everything. And he's very like, on a lot of our promo we use the word for Mark Voyeur, which he's always looking for that adventure, but also he captures sort of everything, and he wants to make sure that he's always got a living memory of all of his friends and all these characters in the show that you will soon meet.
Yeah, and if we were looking at today, he'd be the one doing the vlog about everything that was going on in the flat, and you would see the life of this community through his eyes on the internet. Obviously, that wasn't in the sort of presence it has now when this was written, and when we're set, it's just not a thing.
I think if Brent was set in today, the Mark would be some sort of TikTok famous, or like some sort of TikTok or Instagram influencer, which I'm not, by the way, but the way that it would push for 2020, Rent 2021 if it was written then.
Now, with the show and the creative team behind it, I mean, this is going to be an amazing show. You've got a fantastic venue to play it in, just down the road in Solihull. And Mike, I mean, you must be excited about that side of things too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to get back on stage, I think for both myself and Matt, it's been, coming up for 2 years since we've performed, a theatre piece. So we're so excited, and we've got such a fantastic creative team, as you say. Our director, Richard Agg, is absolutely brilliant. Is not only a great visionary, but is a fantastic leader. He understands the characters so well. He's cast a really good mix of characters, not just the 8 principals, but also our ensemble cast as well, who have to play a multitude of different characters throughout the whole piece, from a homeless person to them being a parent, to them being a police officer. They have to really be diverse and really instinctive. And Suzanne Ballard, who's our choreographer, has set some really interesting dance routines within the show. Rent isn't known for its choreography, actually, but Suzanne's got such a big choreographic background that she's added a lot of street dance within the show, and that's making it really interesting. I've never seen so much dance. I even get to dance a tango in the show for proper, so that's amazing. And then we've got Chris Davis, who's our musical director, who is just astonishingly brilliant as well. And you need a good creative team around you to get the very best from each performer. And I think we feel safe. We've obviously had to work through a lot of COVID conditions, like every, theatre group are having to do. And that hasn't made it easy, but they've made it easy for us to transverse, you know, through that and to actually get to know each other and get to, you know, form this special bond that's required to do Rent, because it's a show that everybody's got to be in it, and it's a very much a team piece.
It's a team piece. It's an emotional piece as well. And it's one that is going to explore the stresses and strains on any relationship, but doing it all through song too. And Matt, I mean, your background is musical theatre. You've done cruise ships in the past and will do in the not too distant future again, I'm sure. But you've also toured with some amazing shows itself. And I mean, you, again, must love the music from the show, because although I'd say I've never seen the show, I know a number of the songs, and it's just hairs up on the back of the neck time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like I was brought up on 70s, 80s, 90s rock and roll. So this whole show and this whole score is like basically it's like a rock opera. So it's like I'm living the dream kind of. But you know, through the songs and through sort of like the beautiful melodies that Jonathan Larson has created, and the harmonies and the atmosphere that the music creates for certain scenes and for the piece itself, it's yeah, it's going to tug a few hearts. It's going to tug a few strings in your heart. I think, you know, especially we've got like knockout vocals as well. Like wait till you hear Dan as Collins, or you know Ash as Roger, because they are just like, it blows your mind when you hear them sing this material. And like I cried the first time I heard Dan sing one of his songs, and it was a beautiful moment.
And for yourself, obviously, there's an awful lot going on behind the scenes. I mean, we joked a bit about the vlogging side of things. Actually, you are sharing some background stuff as well as this goes along, aren't you?
Yeah, that's quite an interesting, I don't know, about quite an innovative way, I don't know, of sharing promo to, you know, to sort of show people what we're up to. I quite enjoy it because it helps me kind of get into character that way. So I quite like to just kind of like tease people as I'm walking around rehearsals, even if like footage never gets used. It's just still quite nice to have that little bit of method about me, just to sort of go around and, you know, try and capture everybody.
And for Creators Theatre, this is the first production, and I'm sure the first of many. And it's a group that have come together to really give people a chance to shine. And as a company that is new, again, Mike, I mean, the energy there must be awesome.
Yeah, so Creative Theatre Company was set up, as you say, it's brand new. It's a vibrant new theatre company in Solihull in the West Midlands. Richard, Suzanne and Chris really wants to build a vision which is dedicated to enthusiastic, non-commercial cast and crew, bespoke to every production, and a company that share the desire to create an unforgettable musical theatre experience. And that, I think that mantra has definitely gone through the whole of the cast, and how it's, you know, being created, down to all the artwork that's been created for the show. And you know what we're trying to do. The sound, as Matt said, is absolutely phenomenal. I've had the opportunity of doing Rent before. I think Matt's done Rent before, and I think we can both honestly say that this is a fantastic production. You know, the harmonies and the level of voices that we've got in a room. I don't know whether it's because we've all had a break and we're all like, let's just sing the room off. But yeah, there's this energy about getting back into musical theatre and making it happen. And, you know, that's strikingly amazing. I've just got to shout out, you know, Jason Andrew, who plays Angel, is just probably the best angel I've ever seen. And I'm old enough to have seen plenty of angels in my life. And he is just phenomenal. Kendra is amazing as Maureen. She did a live vocal on a radio show a couple of weeks ago. And you want to check it out at Creators Theatre Company. And it's just absolutely amazing. She sang Over the Moon, literally, like, you know, as an acoustic piece. It's just absolutely phenomenal. I think, you know, the cast and what people are going to see is going to be amazing. So come and see us 23rd of September to the 2nd of October. It's the 25th anniversary of Rent. It's a Pulitzer Prize winner as well. We've got a special Colour My World. We've got a special ball as well, you know, on the second week of Rent. And it's going to be absolutely fantastic. And as you say, the Dove House Theatre is an amazing theatre space and lends itself so well to performing Rent.
TWS Theatre, as you said, 23rd of September through until the 2nd of October. Creatorstheatre.com is the website. Get your details into there and through there, get your tickets. You also find them on Facebook as well. And Matt, is all this stuff that you're creating going on your page or on the group site?
No, it'll go through. So if you want to check out like our BTS rehearsal vlog, it's all on the Creators Theatre Company Facebook, and I'm sure everybody and their mum has Facebook now.
Yeah, absolutely. Just type it in and it'll all be there. Like I do sort of like weekly vlogs, or I'll do little bits that give you like a little snippet. I don't know, something. It'll be a surprise every week, so just tune into it. Yeah, even you don't know what's going to happen yet, which is a fun way of doing things.
You can follow us on Instagram as well. I think we've got quite a lot of traction on Instagram, so come and follow us on Creators Theatre Company on Instagram.
Okay, Creators Theatre Company is the name you're looking out for. Certainly one to watch. And with their 25th anniversary celebratory production of Rent this September into October, you're going to absolutely adore what we already know is an award-winning, amazing show. Mike and Matt, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you, Jason.
Right, in a moment's time, we'll be having a bit of a natter with Kyle, Finn and PJ Taylor. Before we do, let's take a listen to some of Kyle's work. This is his solo release, Piscean.
In early stage escapist soul who never really changes, cared for me generously through many cases. Ideal reflective crystal with many faces. I'm not to lose the fight on a Piscean tonight. Your heroes, they give you height. You're a Piscean tonight. Faithful heart, loving stars. Compassion gives you life. You're a Piscean tonight. Lifetime is you are my treasure. Heart of create for pleasure. Work well even under pressure. You perform to at your leisure. Can't count but the years don't measure. A connection that lasts forever. Let's explore this night together. No more teasing, tell me take some please. And lately we will act and lazy Neptune's freeze. And may that race happen, but faithful friendships earned. Just label storm wind flow and bounce the starfish night in Kansas. Gave to you a friendship of many faces. Testing times we ventured through our crazes. Dominating as I feel your gaze is shining, edgy crystal. Never ages, not to lose the fight on a Piscean tonight. Your heroes, they give you height. You're a Piscean tonight. Faithful heart, loving star. Can a tune control your life? You're a Piscean tonight. Don't matter about the distance, cause the minds are no resistance. We travel the world together, every time is a new adventure. Look forward to when I see you, to laugh at the things we've been through. Like Venus, let's always stay true. Whatever for peace. No more teasing, tell me take some please. And lately we will act and lazy Neptune's freeze. And may that race happen, but faithful friendships earned. Just leave the storm winds blow and bound the starfish night in Kansas. Piscean tonight, Piscean tonight, Piscean tonight, Piscean tonight, Piscean tonight. Was that on swap? No more teasing, tell me take some please. And lately we will act and lazy Neptune's freeze. And may that race happen, but faithful friendships earned. Just leave the storm wind blow and then the starfish night in Kansas. No more teasing, tell me take some please. And lately we will act and lazy Neptune's freeze. And may that race happen, but faithful friendships earned. Just leave the storm winds blow and then the starfish night in Kansas.
Finn and PJ Taylor have been working hard on some brand new music, an absolute summer anthem, and they join me now to tell me more about it all. Hello, boys.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good, and looking resplendent in something of a summery outfit or two down there.
Yeah, we've literally just got off stage, of course.
So explain a bit more about this single, how it came together, because we know both of you from various projects, and we're currently waiting on the video for the single itself, but we've got an awful lot happening, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got so much going on at the moment. I mean, we're performing around the country at Prides over the summer. We've just started and it's just very exciting. We're actually having a fantastic time at the moment. We're also getting gigs around the country as well. But Bobby Endo has really, really got people excited. I mean, this collaboration, the video should hopefully be out in the next week or so. And we're also working on individual projects, but we'll talk about that later on.
Yeah, so basically during the lockdown, we wanted to collaborate and we wanted to talk about something like going on holiday and sort of missing being able to just travel abroad and stuff. So we come up with this idea of writing the song together.
Yeah, we wanted to do something that was very poignant, and we actually listened to some classic reggaeton songs over the last few years, and we wanted to recapture some of that magic for this song.
Like Despacito.
Exactly, yeah.
So we've got some awesome sounds, brilliant music behind it all. You two boys going out there and putting this on stage for everyone to have a bit of a bop around to. And all this on top of the back catalogue we have from both of you. So, PJ, tell us a bit about your most recent work on your own before we hear more about your work with Carl.
Yeah, sure. I'm currently working on my second album, which is called Escapism. And it's really going well at the moment. I've got another 4 more tracks to record. I've got another solo single coming out in September, but my most recent solo single is Broken Melodies. And I am absolutely thrilled to say that Broken Melodies is number 4 on the LGBT music chart top 50, which I'm absolutely delighted about.
Absolutely, a round of applause, well deserved from Kyle there. But it's all going well, all good things, and I say it's a chance to explore and share your music. And Kyle, what's happening in your world?
So this year I plan to release a single called Play Me, which I plan to do a music video. Well, I planned to release it last year, but obviously things got put on hold. Mm-hmm. So I released it earlier this year, but I'm waiting till things get a little bit more back to normal and I can film a music video for that. But then in the meantime, this project came up, so I thought I'll throw everything into this. So because I've got a few dates this year at festivals and nightclubs and pubs. So I'm taking PJ with me, and we're promoting this as well as my other music, and it's going well.
Well, and you're known for the upbeat nature of the songs that you produce. It is all feel-good music. There's a story, there's a message behind each of your songs, but there is just, if people don't want to listen to the words, they don't have to. They can just move to the music.
Yeah, but this song, there is a bit of a storyline to this song. It is about a holiday romance, as well as sort of just wanting to go back to an island where you feel like alive and
exactly. It speaks a lot about the pandemic, and because it starts off the lyrics 2 years on and I'm still dreaming. So we wanted to write something that not only people would enjoy, want to dance to, but what people would be able to identify with.
We did a gig on Friday in Grimsby at the Old Exchange, and people hadn't heard our song before, and we sang it, and people actually got on stage with us and started dancing, and it was like, it just felt like, I mean, doing stuff by myself feels, I enjoy it, but having someone with me to share that, it's just like, it just adds, and it's like added a party atmosphere, didn't it? It
actually felt like, when they got up on stage, it actually felt like they knew that song for a long time. It felt like we were singing a classic song such as yeah. So it felt that way, and it's just, it's an amazing feeling when you get people up and singing and dancing with you. I mean, that is really a good sign from my experience.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, good luck with the track. We'll take a listen to it now. And where can we go for all the details and obviously to track you two guys, because there's going to be your own socials, and is there a joint social feed as well?
Yeah, so Kyle Finn Music for mine, and
yes, I'm on Instagram. I'm PJ Taylor _music.
And we're selling the songs on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, and everything. But we're also selling a CD at the moment with our solo stuff, and also a few collaborations.
And to find us on Facebook, Kyle Finn, PJ Taylor. So just our normal names on Facebook, and also I'm also on YouTube as well. So
get the details, get the track, and get moving to some brilliant tunes. Have a fantastic time at all of your festivals and everywhere else you play over the summer months. I'm sure this is going to be one that's going to be remembered as we head through into the next holiday season, when people will actually be dancing to it on a Spanish island. That sounds like a plan, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, PJ Taylor and Carl Finn, thank you both for joining me.
Take care.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye. Bye.
Remember laughing, dancing, miles away but not forgotten. Holiday, life entails you. Kyle Finn, PJ Taylor.
G's on and I'm still dreaming. I met you on the final evening. One big regret that I had to leave. Back at home, I tried to reach you. Called you up, your number unknown. All I have is a photograph of you. These are the words we sang, and we were so in tune. A faded memory in paradise with you. Volviendo a la isla, existe el amor. I'll be there to find my answers. El sentimiento de esa noche. I feel close but you're not here. Back to the pool where we shared our first kiss. It was the dead of night when water turns to mist. I sit alone and watch the ripples of a tear. Then close my eyes and somehow you are sitting near. This is the place where I could not but help pursue. Just faded memories in paradise with you. Volviendo a la isla, existe el amor. I'll be there to find my answers. El sentimiento de esa noche. I feel close but you're not here. You just arrived but I fly home the next day. Karaoke bars, night was ours, let's play. We engaged the same age I fell. As I walked you back to your hotel, reminisce about a kiss like no other. Suddenly now I felt like summer. I've had to wait, time and fate had instilled. Looking back was a fantasy fulfilled. These are the words that I wish I had said to you. They're all just memories in paradise with you. Volviendo a la isla, existe el amor. I'll be there to find my answers. El sentimiento de esa noche. I feel close but you're not here. Volviendo a la isla, existe el amor. I'll be there to find my answers. El sentimiento de esa
TWS Sports Podcast has completed its first season. They've been featuring also on WCRFM, as we have brought you a little sample of each of their shows each week. Over the summer months, they're also sharing a few little bits of the things that you haven't heard before that are only normally available as part of the podcast. The whole season is there to enjoy too. And to confirm all of these details, I'm joined now by Adam Millichip. Hello, mate.
Hello. Thanks for having me this morning.
Well, it's always good to talk to you. So explain a bit more about what is going on with the TWS Sports Podcast for those who haven't already picked up on it.
So the TWS Sports Podcast is set up by Technology School in Wolverhampton, as you said. And we started about, I think it was March time. And myself, a colleague, and two of the autistic students at the school chat each week and talk to sportsmen and women from a variety of sports, from a variety of countries now. We've had some really, really good guests on. And yeah, the whole idea of it was kind of to give our students the opportunity to have a voice and develop communication skills, develop confidence, develop social skills through interviewing sort of top athletes. And also to kind of be advocates for autism, get the word of autism out there, get the word of autism awareness out to people, and show what wonderful things children and young adults with autism can do.
Yeah, it is something which does affect the way they lead their day-to-day lives, but equally, it's something that they will show that they will work around, and it isn't going to limit them. It's just going to mean they approach things differently. And I mean, the whole ethos of Technology School is all about making sure that the students are ready for whatever life has in store for them. And having been down to your Health and Wellbeing Week and done an outside broadcast on a Friday afternoon down there just before term finished, it's great to see the sort of interactivity that's going on, and the way in which the staff are all part of it as well. I mean, it is a school, it's classed as a special school, but actually it is just an awesome school, isn't it? You know, it isn't being judged, and it isn't internally judging on what anyone can or can't do.
No, I said the staff are absolutely fantastic. They work so hard and so well with all the students. All the students are completely unique and different in their own ways, which makes them sort of extra special individuals. And yeah, we just accommodate and work for the children, and whatever the children kind of want to do or enjoy doing, we try and accommodate where we can and try and push their talents.
Mm-hmm. And certainly, having seen the encouragement that's been given in the areas of music and the other things which are sort of going on as part of that well-being day, you know, it is great to see that no one feels held back. They're just going in and doing what interests them. And this is where the sports podcast really has shone. And I think many of your guests have also been appreciative of the fact that they're not being asked the same questions as journos ask.
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of the feedback we get from the guests. And yeah, they ask different questions. So obviously we touch on their career and their highlights of their career and the lowlights, but also we ask a lot about their kind of personal life, their hobbies, their other interests, and some random questions like, which 3 people would you like to go for dinner with? And just questions that you wouldn't normally get asked at the end of a football match or a rugby match. Mm-hmm. And also we try and highlight autism. So we had a chat with Will Greenwood, British and Irish Lions rugby player, and he has an autistic daughter. So we chatted quite a lot about autism with him, his struggles, but also the positive aspects as a parent of autism. And it's something I didn't realise going into the interview. I had no idea that Will Greenwood had an autistic daughter. But he chatted quite openly and honestly about it. And yeah, just things like that we talk about as well. And we had Thomas Henley, who is an autistic Commonwealth gold medalist. So we chatted a lot about autism, his struggles, but also the positive aspects of being autistic. So yeah, it's a chat really. It's not about, well, it is about their career, but it's a bit more than that as well, which is good. Yeah,
and it's about the way in which the school works with the kids. It's all about the person. It's not about what you can and can't do. And there's always something to shout about absolutely everybody, and whether it is their prowess in sport or just talking through the other areas and other interests that they have, it shows that whole person, and that's the important part of Technology School.
Yeah, definitely. It's a fantastic school. The ethos there is fantastic. Every child is taken into account. Every child is pushed to try and reach their potential, whatever their ability is. And yeah, I can't speak highly enough of the school. It's absolutely fantastic.
So we have season 2 already in the planning. I'm looking forward to hearing new material from you there. But what have you got lined up? Have you got some big names so far?
Yes, so we've already recorded 3 episodes of season 2. So episode 1 is going to be England goalkeeper Joe Hart. Episode 2, I believe, is going to be former Welsh rugby player Alex Popham, who is doing a lot at the moment in rugby for reducing head injuries. He's been diagnosed with early onset dementia. So he talks quite openly and honestly about that and how he set up a charity to minimise head injuries and head contact in rugby. And I know there's a lot about that at the moment in the sport, in the news, and around football and heading the ball as well, which he's doing a lot to change. Episode 3 is with Australian cricketer Marnus Labuschagne, who won the Ashes in 2019 and talks about the up-and-coming Ashes this year. And yeah, we have lots of other guests that are in the pipeline, so I don't want to reveal too much that we haven't done yet, but yeah, definitely got some great guests coming up.
Well, we look forward to the exclusive when you can give us more info on that. We will talk ahead of season 2 starting and see what else is in the pipeline then. But I know you're having some fun with your fantasy football league as well at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. So you've got a fantasy football league, come and join us. If you want to see what we're doing at the moment, if you just search TWS Sports Podcast, that's our name on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. So yeah, you definitely find us. And we've been speaking to, during the summer holidays, we've managed to speak to Will Greenwood each week about the Lions games. We spoke to Colin Jackson last week about the Olympics. We've been speaking to a few players playing in the cricket in the 100 competition at the moment. So we're releasing things every day pretty much on social media, so you can check that out.
So it's all popping up on your socials. TWS Sports Podcast is what you're looking for. And it's not only an insight into the world of these sports people, but also a great different angle on life. And it has that conversation around their world and gives you something more. And it's because, I mean, particularly with the Olympics ongoing, and when we see these, I mean, basically, in my eyes, they're kids now. I remember when I was the same age as them thinking, I wish I could do that. Now I'm just, I wish I could walk halfway up the stairs at the same speed as I used to be able to. So, it is amazing to see what's going on out there. And it's like that there is so much more to them. We've seen some of Tom Daly's world with his knitting. I want to see more knitting sports stars. What about you?
Definitely. And they're so young. That wasn't it the 13-year-old girl who won bronze at skateboarding? And I think it's back when I was 13 and I could never compete in the Olympic Games or do anything like that. So yeah, fair play to them. It's incredible. And just watching now, I see Jason Kenny's won his 7th gold on the track. Yeah, some of the things that our athletes are doing are incredible. So we hopefully try and get in contact with some of them. Hopefully get an Olympian on next season. Fingers crossed. Well, that would be good to hear. Meanwhile, recap all those details again on where we find the TWS Sports Podcast so you can listen back to the whole of season 1. Yeah, so you can listen back. If you just search TWS Sports Podcast, we're available on all podcast apps and also on all social media. It's very easy to find. Our name is the same on all social media. So if you just either Google us or put it into social media, we're bound to come up, and yes, please give us a listen. Adam, always good to speak to you. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to the next episode when it comes brand new in September. Thank you very much for having me. When we had a chat with Kyle Finn and PJ Taylor a little earlier on, Broken Melodies, that was a song that PJ was talking about, one of his pieces of work. Let's take a little bit of a listen to that now.
You may think it's all a game, but I'm just as much to blame, 'cause you make me go insane, the colors blue. I'm addicted through the day, and the night has me in chains. crazy. You said I was sexy. Your love is dark but empty. We just two broken melodies. It's too late for all your remedies. You once said I was sexy. Your heart is dark but empty. We just two broken melodies. It's too late for all your remedies. Is this the way it's gonna be? Living my life dangerously. I know this poison's no good for me. Why do I crave it constantly? Is this the way it's gonna be? Living my life dangerously. I know this poison's no good for me. Why do I crave it? You once said I was sexy. Your love is dark and empty. We just two broken melodies. It's too late for all your remedies. You once said I was sexy. Your heart is dark and empty. We just two broken melodies. It's too late for all your remedies.
Clubs and venues across the UK are looking for those who are attending to get their vaccines early to make sure they can continue to attend when legislation changes later this year. To tell us more, I'm joined now by Dr. and DJ Bodalia. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Well, good to talk to you. And I know you've got a busy time ahead, not only with your work within the NHS in the Midlands, but also a bit of DJing too.
Exactly. It's been a non-stop year for me. Well, year and a half actually, working on the front line in A&E, intensive care units, respiratory wards, COVID wards, and more recently in the community in a GP setting. And also, DJing in my scrubs from my kitchen, something I called NH sessions, just to make people feel good and have a good time.
But it is important that as we're looking towards the normality returning, that we do get everybody vaccinated. And there's a slowdown in the number of under 30s who've been getting vaccines, those who are most likely to be heading out clubbing.
Exactly. And I'm making it my mission today, or today onwards, to encourage 18 to 24-year-olds to get their first jabs and then their second jabs after 8 weeks, because it's that second jab that will give you the maximum protection. By having these jabs, you're less likely to catch COVID, less likely to develop serious symptoms, therefore less likely to be admitted to hospital, to die, and less likely to spread it to other people. So by getting both your jabs, you're protecting yourself, but also making sure others around you on the dance floor are also safe.
Absolutely, because we don't want socially distanced dancing. That isn't how it works. That is not good. We want everybody being able to get together and have an absolutely brilliant time. And moving to the music is vitally important for us, for our mental health, as well as the physical benefits that come from it too. But so we do need to be protected. And the legislation that's due to come in later in this year is there to encourage people to do it, but born out of that need to ensure that we do not pass this on the dance floor.
Exactly. And at the end of September, young people and everyone who wants to go to a club will be required to show the NHS COVID pass, to show proof of vaccination, to show they've had both of their jabs. Absolutely key to make sure you're safe and those around you are safe. As a DJ myself, I just want to make sure everyone's happy. There's also that idea that I need to know that on the dance floor, they're happy, that they're feeling safe, and that they're not worried that they're going to fall unwell from COVID.
And with what you've seen over the last 16, 18 months, we know that there is a need for this level of protection. And that goes for young and old. Just because you are 18 through 24, it means you're a lower chance of being very, very ill, but you've got a higher chance of long COVID.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because at the start of the pandemic, and even up till now, young people are less willing to take the vaccine because they think that it's not going to affect them. But my experience in hospitals is that ICUs are now filling up with younger patients between 18 and 30. They're filling up all the beds. When I was working last week, I had to admit a 22-year-old boy, normally fit and well, very athletic, very healthy, but he was struggling to breathe. he couldn't even get out 2 words without having to take like deep breaths. So yeah, we need to be very, very proactive in pushing the vaccine to everyone. But today, let's make our focus at the young people who need to get these as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Gaps in the population not being vaccinated will help variants develop. And this is a coronavirus. It's the same sort of family as the common cold. And we know that the common cold produces variants like they're going out of fashion. This, at least, has so far, touch wood, been a little bit slower and given us a chance to actually develop a vaccine that is still effective. We need to make sure people are vaccinated whilst it's effective. Otherwise, we could end up with the dance floors being the source of an increase in problems for all age groups.
And at the start of the pandemic, we weren't in that fortunate position to have any evidence. We were facing unknowns, unpredictabilities. Even my most senior colleagues, the consultants, were faced with unbelievable challenges and having to learn on the job. We're in this position now where we've had 18 months to understand the virus a little bit better, develop vaccines which have gone through the rigorous clinical trials processes, and now actually bring them to people who need them.
And it's that we know this is as safe as the vaccine, any vaccine can be. Yes, there'll always be a small number of side effects. The young age group we're looking at here will be taking the Pfizer vaccine, which has got a hugely reduced risk compared to the AstraZeneca in that age group. But even then, the risk that there is from taking the vaccine is minuscule compared to the risk of actually getting COVID.
And that's spot on. Most people who have the vaccines don't develop any side effects whatsoever. Some people do develop side effects, but these are very mild. Typically just a sore arm where you've had the vaccine, you might feel a bit unwell generally, headaches, body aches, you might feel sick. But rest and simple painkillers like paracetamol are usually enough to help you. But always remember, there are healthcare professionals on hand. Use trusted sources such as the NHS website to reassure you and to get the information you need if you have any concerns whatsoever.
And it's about going to a source which actually has an interest in telling you about your health. The NHS wouldn't be wanting to give you a vaccine if it was going to make you ill and cause more work for themselves. There is a logic there to listening to what the NHS has to say.
There's so much misinformation out there. So as you said, we need to go to trusted sources, places that actually want you to be healthy and are based on evidence. That is key, based on evidence. What you read on social media probably isn't if it's telling you information that goes against what we're saying here. So you go to the NHS website and speak to your doctor or a healthcare professional if you have any questions at all.
Absolutely. Okay, on to the fun stuff, because your DJing is renowned going across the UK, broadcasting from your kitchen half a lockdown. But you're actually going to be out there in real life with Fatboy Slim in the coming weeks, aren't you?
That's right. So, I mean, I've been doing music all my life, playing instruments, going to dance music whilst I was a medical student at university. During the pandemic, doing DJ sets in my scrubs from my kitchen and called it N8 sessions to make myself feel good, but also my colleagues and everyone stuck in lockdown. And it's just gone from strength to strength with huge, huge support. And to have the support of Fatboy Slim, him inviting me on his UK tour in November is just overwhelming. And actually it's not quite clicked yet. I was at a festival last week playing on my first ever main stage, and I met Fatboy Slim backstage and he waved at me. He knew who I was. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. He's my absolute idol.
You're a celebrity DJ now. Come on, you expect this, please.
Not at all. When you're doing live streams in your kitchen, you're performing to numbers on a screen. It'll be like 100, 101. But who are these people? You don't see them in front of you. You see them when you're on stage, and that's what I live for.
It's going to be good to be able to get back into these venues. It's like it is happening now, but yeah, we need people to be lateral flow testing, both especially now, but certainly going forward as well, to make sure they don't accidentally pass something on. And you might have to miss one night out or a couple of nights out during a 10-day isolation, but it will save lives. It will stop other people becoming ill. And as we said, the vaccine itself, you might get something that feels like a bit like the after effects of a really good night out at the worst. So it isn't really a lot of trouble to anybody, is it?
Not at all. The side effects are very mild, and they'll give you the protection you need and everyone else around you.
So where do we go for more information and to reassure ourselves and to book a jab?
For more information about the vaccines and coronavirus, head to the NHS website or speak to a healthcare professional or a doctor. With regards to booking in your jab, you can either call 119, visit nhs.uk, or you can visit one of the walk-in centres or pop-ups to attend, and you can get your jab there and then.
And we have got the vaccine bus heading around the city of Wolverhampton and 30 drop-in centres. So if you want to find out more about where you can get your vaccine in Wolverhampton, wolverhampton.gov.uk/local vaccine, and you can check out the details there. But say it's a simple case of walking in, getting the jab, and say you'll barely notice you've had it done, most likely, will you?
You'll barely notice it. You might have a bit of a sore arm. You might feel like you've got a bit of a headache or a bit under the weather for a day or so, but you'll bounce back in no time. And if you have any worries, just speak to your doctor.
So that's the way to do it. Well, Bodalia, I mean, the nation's DJ and doctor all rolled into one. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that's your lot for this week. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 633. Back with episode 634 next week. I look forward to having you along. See you then. Ta-ra for now.
Goodbye from the milk bar. 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 Yeah. Goodbye from the milk bar. Yeah.